Hi everyone, it's Rachel, and in this video I'm going to be showing you what we received in the May Sophie and Toffee Elves box, as well as show you how to design your own board game using the supplies included. If you would like to learn more about these Sophie and Toffee subscription boxes, I'll leave more info down in the description box below. So in the May box, we received a silicon mode with travel size checker tokens, a pawn piece silicon mold, backgammon game foil, clue game foil, a rectangle board silicon mold, epoxy resin with a 3:1 ratio, gold coloured hinges, mini magnets, magnetic sheets, magenta chameleon powder, brown chameleon powder, fine black glitter, and then the premium items are a travel sized square board game mold, Jumanji token molds, Jumanji game foils for the inside and outside, plus also some digital downloads as well. So moving on to the tutorial, you can see that I have created my own board game, which I called Doubles and Halves. I love that I was able to be creative with this Elves box and kind of put my own spin on it, but of course if you don't want to do that, there are lots of different game options that they have included in the box. The main reason that I wanted to design my own was that so I could take it to school and use it in my classroom. That way it would actually get used and be functional, and also help reinforce some maths topics that we have learnt about. To begin, I took a bunch of different glitter, and this is what I'm going to be using in my resin mixture for my game board. As you can see, I've chosen a bunch of different purples and pinks, and these are out of my own collection. So some I bought online and some are from craft stores, plus I also have the magenta powder that came in the box. Next, I'm going to be taking the epoxy resin, and this resin has a 3:1 ratio. So whatever amount you used from the small bottle, you need 3 times the amount from the larger bottle. I'm going to be mixing my resin in a clear plastic cup, so I just popped this onto my scales and weighed the resin so that I had the proper amounts. In the booklet, it says that you need 120 grams of resin to fill the rectangle silicon mold. However, I did stick to that measurement and I didn't actually have enough, so I think in the end I ended up mixing about 180 grams of resin for each side. So once you've poured out the correct measurements of resin, you can then go ahead and start mixing it together. It will firstly go cloudy, but once it's all mixed properly, it will go clear again. Then it's time to start adding my pigments and my glitters. So I'm firstly pouring in my powdered pigments first, and then mixing that around really well before then tipping in all my different glitters and mixing these. Next, I just took my rectangle game board mold and I just poured my resin straight into it. This first batch of resin I made was quite liquidy, so the glitter actually ended up sinking to the bottom and not spreading out evenly. So I probably should have waited a little bit longer before tipping it in, but the next batch that I made seemed to be fine. I then took my magnetic sheet, and you'll notice that it has 2 different sides. It has a matte side and a shiny side. The matte side is actually the stronger side, so I faced this down into the resin and left the shiny side facing up towards me. Then I just had to make sure that the resin was fully covered over the magnet, and once it was, I left this to cure for 24 hours. Once the resin is hard, you can then take it out of the mold, and then you want to repeat this process so that you have the 2 parts that you need. To attach the boards together, you want to take 2 of the gold hinges from the box. In these clips here, you'll see that I'm using resin to attach them on. However, later I found that they weren't actually secured enough, so I ended up using some super glue in addition to the UV resin. Next, I'm going to be creating the little tokens that each player uses to move around the game. So I took the pawn piece silicon mold, and you can see that it comes in 2 pieces. You just want to fit these together, and then you can also secure them nice and tightly using some rubber bands around the outside. To create these, I'm going to be using some UV resin, and this is one that I have from Sophie and Toffee. And then to colour my tokens, I'm just using some different colours of fine glitter. This part was actually pretty simple. All I did was pour the glitter into the resin and mix it around so that it was evenly spread, and then I just poured this into the mould and cured it quickly with my UV light. I did leave some room at the top of the mold because that's where we're going to be adding the magnet. Now before adding the magnet, you want to make sure and test that you have it the right way around. So that's what I'm doing here with my magnetic sheet. I just flipped my little mini magnets around so then I could work out which side felt the strongest. And once I had found the strongest side, I poured some more resin into the mold. I then placed in the magnet with the strong side facing up towards me, and then you can add a small amount of resin over top of the magnet and cure it before popping it out. You may also need to clean up the edges by sanding the piece down as well. So I guess this is the part where I go a little bit rogue with my design and steer away from the ones included in the box. So to create my design, I'm actually going to be using my Cricut machine purely to make it easy for myself. And also when I was filming this video, I had just gotten my Cricut machine and I was having lots of fun playing around with it. So I'm using some different colored vinyl in rainbow colors, and I created the game on a drawing app called Procreate on my iPad. I firstly created a very rough sketch of what I wanted the game to look like, and then I made a much neater draft. I combined each of my square colors together in one image, and then I placed them into the Cricut app where I added all the text that I needed before cutting it out. So to cut the vinyl, just in case you're interested, you place it on this sticky blue mat and then pretty much just insert this into your Cricut machine, and then when you press go, it just cuts out your design with the little blade. So once it's cut, it looks like this, kind of like a little sticker. And then here's the whole lot of them that have been cut ready to attach onto my board game. I just peeled each one off like a sticker, and you can see that it leaves the text on the backing piece, which is exactly what I wanted instead of having to weed it all out. Then I just placed each of these squares inside my board game where I had planned to have them in my original drawing. Of course, if you don't have a Cricut machine, you could also design your board game just with some acrylic paint and just paint the squares directly onto the resin. For the extra kind of spaces like the roll again and swap places, etc., I decided to also print out some little stars just to add a bit more of a design and make those kind of like places on the board game seem a bit more exciting. Off camera, I also went ahead and printed out the letters that I needed to create the title of the game, Doubles and Halves, and then I stuck these onto the front of the board game along with some little star designs to match the inside. And then because I was planning to take this to school, as a nice little touch on the back, I also made a Made by Miss Haley sticker, which I created using a white vinyl, and then I just attached it on with some transfer tape. So here is what my finished Doubles and Halves board game ended up looking like. I really love the way it turned out. I feel like I say that with everything I make, but this one was extra fun to create because I had a lot of fun designing it, and I know that it will be very functional and actually get used in my classroom at school. I love how all the purple glitters in the background turned out, and I think using some holographic colors was a good choice as well because in the sunlight and the correct lighting, it looks really, really cool. I also really love the color scheme of the rainbow on the dark colors as well. And then for anyone who is wondering how to play this game, I created 4 little tokens, so I guess anywhere from 2 to 4 people can play, and you roll the dice and move your token to that spot. When you land on a particular spot in the game, you either have to answer a double or a halves question, and if you get it right, you get to stay there, but if you can't answer it or you get it incorrect, you move back to the space that you previously were at. And then of course the winner is the first one to reach the blue finished space up in the top right hand corner. So there you have it, that is how you can create a custom game board using the supplies in the May Sophie and Toffee Elves box. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for lots more crafty videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!